So you've had lots of rain and you hadn't had a chance to mow the lawn in, I don't know, say like 5 days like me. So how should you approach it? The same way you always mow it. You know, I'm used to mowing every 2 or 3 days at around 1 inch with the manual reel mower, and after this long stretch of rain, it's shaggy, it's long, it's wet, and we've got some other issues going on, but I am not going to change a single thing. I am going to treat this day in the lawn just like any other. Don't overcomplicate this. Don't overthink this. Don't make it more difficult or more in-depth than it has to be. You're just cutting your grass. Let's go look at the lawn. So, we've had 5 straight days, nonstop rain. I shouldn't say nonstop, just a lot of rain. And when these periods of weather happen, you kind of have to just take the good with the bad. Super thankful for all the rain, and especially these cooler temperatures. We're like in the mid 70s right now. It sounds almost kind of crazy to say this, but it feels a little bit like fall. We're still a long way from that, and don't put the cart before the horse. Summer is still in full swing, but it feels great today, so the day in the lawn not going to seem quite as daunting or miserable without those 90-degree temperatures. But with the cooler temperatures and the rain, we're gonna have to deal with some issues today, especially in terms of how long the grass is. Woohoo! She's a shaggy, but I tell you what, that color looks good though. But unfortunately, with as long as it is, we're gonna lose some color today just by cutting it, because we're gonna cut off more than we're used to cutting off. And I know, you can say, hey, well, why don't you just cut off a little today and then a little bit more tomorrow and slow play the cut down? Nope. I have a way I like to keep the lawn. I haven't gotten to cut it in 5 days. Now that I can cut it, we are getting right back to square one without making this take any longer than it has to. Because I'm gonna mow in 2 more days anyways. I'm mowing every 2 or 3 days. So by then, I mean, the green's gonna pop back really, really fast in this, but it does look super, super sharp, super, super lush and dark right now. So I'll enjoy it and appreciate that till I get the mow in, because that's gonna knock a lot of it off. But if you're worried about, I see a lot online, oh, my Bermuda's too long, I don't want to cut it all at once. Will that damage the grass? Will it do this? But look, if you can find a way to damage Bermuda grass, will you leave me a comment down below? It's almost impossible to damage this turf. It is resilient. It can take a beating, and if you cut a little bit too much off, it'll come back right back to where it was in no time. So don't worry about it. Just do it. I'm going to break a lot of rules today that people seem to follow to a T, and I just don't find those rules as crucial as other folks. I'm not saying you should do this, but just letting you know this is how I do it, and it always works. This backyard holds some water sometimes, especially after long periods of rain. So it is super, I don't know if you hear that? I mean, it's not like standing water, but it is certainly a little bit soggy down in here, and I don't know if you can see those, along with the extended stretch of water and wetness. Yep, that's a little dollar spot. Not worried about it in the least. We will just mow it right out. We'll just mow it right out. We'll make sure we get this dried out as much as possible. We don't water. We don't need to water for one thing, but we don't water for a stretch. Get it nice and dried out so that we can just mow that dollar spot out and we'll have minimal damage, along with a lot of the wetness and dollar spot as well. I'm seeing some few patchy spots of just a little bit of nutsedge, likes those warm, moist areas. Guess what I'm doing with those? I've told you before. I'm pulling them. I'm pulling those as I see them. Doesn't bother me to pull it. You know, I've said this before, but I've read somewhere that if you pull them while they're young, they don't have time to develop those tubers and really start to spread out like you dread when you hear the old pulling debate. And when you keep pulling them, if you stay on it frequently, you're depriving them of the environment or the nutrients they need to survive, and eventually they'll weaken out and just stop coming back. And along with the dollar spot, I am not going to bag today. Essentially, you can just put your bottom dollar on the fact that regardless of all the things going in the lawn, this will be a run-of-the-mill day for me. I'm going to mow, edge, and blow, and when I am done with today, it will be like the long stretch of rain never happened, and I just get right back into the groove of things with normal lawn care. Now, I will say this though, with the cooler temperatures and the cloudy days and the wet conditions, it's really not as long as I thought the grass was going to be. Definitely not the ideal height, but temperatures have been down in the low 80s and in the 60s overnight. So it's not growing as quickly and vigorously as it was during the hot, dry stretches, because that's just what Bermuda loves. And it's several weeks removed from my last fertilizer app, so that's starting to wear off a little bit in its effect on the grass growing real quickly. So we're not in as bad a shape as I thought we would be. But let's get to a little lawn work. What do you say? I'll show you a little bit of the process that I go through when I mow, edge, and blow. And then we'll come back and we'll look at how this thing looks, you know, post all that. So thanks for being here. I appreciate all my subscribers. Sorry for that wind. I'm telling you, it feels like fall out here. The wind, the temperature, the whole shebang. If you're not subscribed already, please consider doing so. Hit that thumbs up button, notification bell. Leave me a comment down below. All that kind of feedback helps me and the channel out significantly, and it's very much appreciated. All right, that's out of the way. Let's do this. That's some thick stuff, folks. So, I've already mowed, edged, and blowed in the backyard. For some reason, I really like just getting one side of the yard completely done, so I got that out of the way. I'll show you that in a bit, but I will say that, and it's still really wet. Fortunately, using a reel mower, it can handle the wet grass a lot better than a rotary can. So if I were rotary mowing, I would have given this one extra day to dry out. Not necessarily because the grass blades are wet, but the ground is still really, really wet. And you'll especially see that in the backyard. The front yard's not so bad because it slopes a lot better. It doesn't get as soggy, but there's a lot coming off. So I mentioned in the back with the dollar spot that I don't bag when I have disease, and I don't bag when there's a lot of clippings. Some folks will say that that increases thatch. Not necessarily. And with the disease, it doesn't necessarily increase the spread of the disease either if you don't bag with it. All the extension office stuff I've read just says that there's not enough evidence that says it will spread any more than it would if you don't bag, or if you do bag. So I don't bag. But I'm only going to get a double cut in today. I thought I might have to triple cut in more than one direction, but I'm just making sure I'm overlapping really good and then crossing back over. So kind of watch the pattern I'm doing. I'm doing my favorite pattern with the manual reel going north and south. So check that pattern out, then I'll show you a little more mowing, some edging with the string trimmer, and then we'll wrap up this day in the lawn. And I'll tell you what, I'm enjoying this one. Even though the grass is thick, the weather's perfect, and it's a nice day outside. Let's keep moving. Man, that is some thick, healthy stuff. I also meant to mention earlier, I've been waking up every morning with a little patch of mushrooms right here in the front yard. That tends to scare some folks sometimes, especially if you don't know what it means. Don't worry about it. That's a sign that you've got good, healthy, organic soil. Now, if it becomes just this overblown problem, then you may want to start thinking about it, but you can just leave those. They'll dry out in the sun. I picked them out, not because they'll do anything bad, but I just think they're unsightly. But either way, no cause for concern in the lawn. Actually, a good sign. All right, enough blabbering. Let's mow. That concludes, not even in frame, that concludes the yard work portion of this episode of Budget Lawns. Hope you're still here with me. Let's take a look at the lawn and then we'll wrap this thing up. You know, it just makes you feel better. It might not look 100% after going that long without being mowed and all that rain, but it still looks good. I mean, this front yard, yeah, we lost a little green after the cut. I'm telling you what, it still looks great. And look at, well, can you see my dead spots? Just very faint signs that those were even there. Even this monster over here is disappearing. But overall, not as bad as I thought it was going to look after cutting it. Pretty pleased. So that's kind of how I do things in the lawn. Edges are looking nice and tight. Man, I always kind of base how my mow went off the edging, because everything else can go according to plan. But if the edging goes poorly, that's what sticks with me. Today we were on point, and in the backyard, as I mentioned a bit ago, it's still wet, and you can see signs that it's still wet. I mean, it's just part of it. Some tire tracks in the grass, in the soggiest of spots. I mean, you can still see my footprints there. I didn't have a choice. It's okay. We'll get back out here in a couple days anyways. You'll not even know that those tire marks were there. Same goes for all the grass clippings. I mean, there's a lot of grass clippings on the yard. But those won't be around for long. We'll be back in 2 more days to cut it. We'll go another direction. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. You know, I find the more that I just don't try to overanalyze this whole thing, and I enjoy it more, and it makes it a lot more fun and less stressful. And I kind of, look, I think there's something about us breed of lawn care folks where we all, you know, we all kind of run in the same circle, it seems like. You know, I've never met a group of people so much like me. So I feel like when I say these things that I might be a little qualified to, because I'm that way, and I assume a lot of you are too. Just don't sweat the small stuff in the lawn. Believe you me, it is not worth it. You'll love it a whole lot more. All right. That's it. This episode of Budget Lawns is coming to an end right now. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.